What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It is Tuesday, the 30th of July. We're approaching August. We're approaching the start of the season. And also the US tour, it is underway. As always, we're going to be talking about all the latest with Palace. Get involved in the chat because there's a few things to talk about. You can see from the title, Mateta, we've got Sarr Ayew bid now potentially for him coming in after rumors about him leaving. And also an update on Rak-Sakyi and more, whether he's on tour in America and what does that mean? Is Rak-Sakyi going out on loan? Look, we're going to be discussing all of that. As always, like, subscribe. We're less than 80 away from 5,000. So thank you to every single one of you that's done that. How are we doing? How are we doing, people? I'll be honest, I had a nap before the show. This heat is getting to me. Going to the gym in this heat, and also it is tiring. It is tiring. It doesn't, I don't know. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to this kind of weather in the UK. Patrick is actually over there. He attended the US, the open training session. He had good words. Apparently he's met a few of you over there as well. And he's met with the players and the manager as well, which is good to see that connection between the club and the American fan base. And yeah, we are underway in less than 48 hours with our first pre-season tour game over in the US. We'll be doing a live watch along starting around 1 a.m. UK time and a live match reaction after that as well. So yeah, it's exciting. Hopefully one of these tours we can all attend as a back of the Nest group. What's going on, Spiritual? What's going on, Colin? How's everyone doing? Let's start off with the first bit of news, and that is on Philippe Mateta, which according to the Daily Express, Aston Villa have reached out to Crystal Palace to inquire about a potential transfer move for the Palace striker. Palace have held talks over a contract extension, but no agreement has yet been reached. Now, I'm not going to get worried about this. He's been rumored away to go over to potential Italian clubs as well in the past, but Palace do not want to sell Mateta. We know that for a fact. I think what makes it interesting in this link is Aston Villa are looking to sell Duran, and if they are looking to sell Duran, they're looking for a potential striker option. That's the only thing that concerns me about this. Saying that, Palace would require a considerable fee to let Mateta go. For me, let me know in the chat what you think as well. If you're watching on replay, in the comment section down below. For me, it has to be. The conversation has to start at a minimum of £30 million. And you may even argue that's too low. But anything less than £30 million, you just put the phone down. Less than 30, you just put the phone down. We don't even entertain the conversation for me. Where it gets a bit tricky is the contract situation. Now, if this report is true and no agreement has been reached, it doesn't mean an agreement won't be reached. But if it is true that 2 years left on his contract makes it a bit awkward. Ideally, we don't want that to run into January and next summer because then he only has a year left and that's when things get worrying. You don't want to lose Mateta for free. We'll see what kind of season he has next season. But apart from that, if you was to ask me, am I worried about Mateta leaving? No, not at this current moment of time. But interesting that Villa have, according to reports, have potentially reached out to Palace about it. Hills are saying it's mega hot living in Brazil, man. It does get to me, to be honest. Well, if you're living in Brazil, you should be used to it. In the UK, we are not built for this kind of weather. Especially, I went to the gym, I came back, I had a few things to do. I need a nap before the show. I didn't even have a nap. I was just watching Saeed, who's come over from America, seeing what he was up to on the stream. Lewis saying letting JP leave would be a huge middle finger to Glasner at this point. I think it depends on the price, but I agree. Especially now that things are worked out for JP. I think it's more his agent ramping up Mateta's wages as talks are still going for extension. It could potentially be that as well. I won't close that away. It does make sense. We have seen reports like this in the past where it suits particular party, and in this case, if you are ramping up interest, let's say from Aston Villa, and let's say the agent is ramping up interest from Aston Villa, then that kind of adds the pressure to Palace. But I think an agreement surely should be found with Mateta and his contract. I just don't see Palace ever letting Mateta go for free. I'd be hugely shocked. But Champions League football as well. That could be a concern because people are saying, for example, why would Aston Villa want Mateta with Ollie Watkins up there? But when you have Champions League football as well as other competitions, that quality and depth that we're looking at, for example, at Palace, Mateta could come a long way for Villa. So, in terms of like, is there any truth to the story? Of course, I can't say for a fact 100%. Oh, there is or there isn't. But there are some things that does make sense for why Villa would be interested in Mateta. There are, in my opinion, there are, with Duran potentially leaving as well. But saying that, I'm not worried at this current moment of time about Mateta leaving as well. Let me go through some of the numbers. Hart saying 60 million. I'm sorry, D, his Premier League experience. Fair enough. 35 million would be decent. Seeing some links saying Mateta wants to go. If true, that's 35 million starts the negotiations. Look, they're looking for 40 million pound for Duran. So if they get that kind of money, which I don't think West Ham are willing to pay that, then they should have the money. There won't be any excuses there. But then again, it goes to those links with strikers nowadays, with Nketiah, for example, with Duran. Clubs are putting these price tags on these players, but so far, there hasn't been any agreement reached around 40 million pound for Nketiah or for Duran. So realistically, do I see him going for that? Let's see how the other situations plan out, especially with the Nketiah situation, because he's been a player that we've been after as well, and he hasn't been sold yet. And also putting a crazy price tag on him. You might disagree, but I think it is crazy to put on, 40 million pound on Nketiah who hasn't been scoring, or for Arsenal where they have been creating chances. So I think it's a bit ridiculous, but that's how the market is right now. So with Palace, I wouldn't be surprised if you do put a 40 plus million pound price tag on Mateta. But realistically, I don't see Mateta getting sold for that kind of price right now. But of course, all of this can have a domino effect. If one player gets sold, let's say Duran gets sold to West Ham for around 40 million pound, and they genuinely do want a replacement, that they might want to bid 40 million pound for Mateta. You never know, because the Duran thing is not really about his talent. It's about his attitude, and they want to get rid of him. So, they could have that money and literally swap it over. Andrew saying Mateta end of last season, 25 million pound. Mateta start of last season, £2.50. Swap deal with Duran. I don't think that will happen. But, I think that's very ambitious. But yeah, I don't see it. But it'll be nice. But then again, I just don't think Palace want to get rid of Mateta. This ain't no, unless Mateta desperately wants to leave, this ain't no deal for us to want to make. I mean, Mateta has been scoring goals under Glasner. Glasner rates him, so we wouldn't want to get rid of Mateta in the first place. So I think the only way a swap deal could potentially happen, which I don't think it'll directly happen, I think money would be involved from either clubs, depending on how much each club value the player. Because with Mateta, there hasn't been any suggestion of how much we actually value him. I just see the whole situation being a bit difficult, because we don't really want to get rid of Mateta for us to be doing swap deals in the first place. If we get 40 million for Mateta, you won't see me complaining. Fair enough. Alex saying, hopefully we will do some more signings, though. I feel like we still don't have a whole lot of depth on multiple positions. Look, yesterday was the first time in ages, it feels like, at least in 2 weeks, that we didn't actually come on live, because there was nothing. There's no point forcing a show if there's absolutely nothing to talk about. Well, thankfully today there are a few things about players incoming and outgoing, which we're going to be discussing, of course, more than Mateta. But yeah, yes, it was the first time it was quiet, and I mean there should be some incomings, but it's kind of picked up today. But on a Monday, surprisingly, I wasn't expecting it. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Colin saying at least Spurs aren't going for Eze or Gehi no more. Neither Man U, they stay, which I'm expecting. Look, we've approached August, and from all the neutrals, we've heard, Crystal Palace this year, they're selling Gehi, Eze, Elise, and everyone else. That's what they think. Whereas, in reality, us as Palace fans, we know that we haven't been that kind of selling club. Of course, we have sold Elise, but it's very unlikely that we sold all three of those players. Well, especially Gehi, Eze, Elise, that's been mentioned. I just don't see it happening. And we're approaching August. It's all gone quiet. All that panic that was created for no reason. I mean, thankfully, it's died down. But yeah, I mean, as long as they stay and we build on the depth, which I think we can all agree on, we don't even need that many players. It'll be good. But of course, we want to ideally keep Mateta, because if we get rid of Mateta, then you don't really rely on Edward because he's been potentially put up for sale, and we might explore some deals there. Then you start all over again up front, so it gets a bit complicated. Kevin said, are we limited to 25 players? It should be a 25-man squad. But there should be some players going out, which we'll talk about as well. If you have any questions, just like Spiritual, I'll quickly put it up here. Then I'll take it off because we'll answer it towards the end of the show. Put a Q&A dot before it, and I'll go through them. But if you're enjoying the stream, people, hit the like button and subscribe. We're less than 80 away. As always, there's more to talk about than just Mateta. It is that kind of time of the window where, you know, there's a lot of rumors here and there. So we'll be covering them all on terms of what's been going on today. Insane. Remember what Mateta said when he first signed for us? Yeah, that he will be using Palace as a stepping stone, but you let me know in the chat. Is going to Aston Villa that stepping stone from Palace to Villa? Like, is it worth it? They are playing Champions League. They are playing Champions League football. So there is that element to it. But I don't know what he views as a stepping stone. But yeah, he has said that as well. Yeah, we'll be talking about Sarr. There's going to be an update on him, and also Rak-Sakyi as well. Potentially might be going out on loan, even though there's been no reports. As I said, Patrick is over there in America, and he's seen a few things that's actually caught my attention as well, which is weird with Rak-Sakyi. Ed saying, I still think one of Eze or Guehi leaves before the window closes, but definitely not both. What makes you think that, Ed? Right now, it's very quiet. It is very quiet. I haven't heard anything about Eze or Guehi. In fact, when was the last time we actually spoke about Eze or Guehi? It hasn't been that recently. I mean, it might be 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, but so far it's quiet. Mateta can be the main guy, or he can be second fiddle. Look, let's see what actually happens with Mateta. There are more players to talk about, so we're going to move on from this. But let me know in the comment section, how much do you think Mateta right now is worth the Palace with 2 years left on his deal, and he hasn't yet signed a new contract. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he does, so he doesn't leave for free. I'll just bring this up. Can't see Mateta leaving, to be honest. Not worried about it. Everyone was moaning about him before Oliver Glasner came in. Now, let's move on to the second bit of news today, and that is on Jordan Ayew, which we last spoke about. It must have been on Sunday because we didn't do a Palace news yesterday. So it must have been on Sunday that we spoke about Jordan Ayew interest from Leicester and also Saudi Arabia. However, now from Alan Nixon, it's come out today that Leicester have an offer for Jordan Ayew. The hard thing is we don't know what that offer is. Leicester have an offer for Jordan Ayew. It seems like this Jordan Ayew thing's not going away. And I'll be honest, people, I see Jordan Ayew leaving. We're going to be talking about Sarr and know the latest with him as well. Some positive steps in that movement. But Leicester and Ayew, I think personally, I've seen Leicester fans upset on Twitter. I've seen them say, oh, why are we signing Jordan Ayew and such an underwhelming signing? For me, I think Jordan Ayew to Leicester makes a lot of sense for Leicester. Let's not get twisted. Like, Jordan Ayew has got vast experience, and he has proven himself at Premier League level to, contribute well for a club that's trying to stay up. And yes, he has a ceiling in his game, but I think this would be a very good signing for Leicester. For me, at this point, it's about learning the figures. The figures is what I want to know. Alan Nixon saying Leicester are going to submit an offer for Jordan Ayew. The question is how much. For me, hopefully, especially now that it's a Premier League club as well, hopefully we can get at least £5 million. I would be happy with that. But only time will tell. 25 Eagles saying, I can't lie, I'm going to miss Ayew. Spiritual, on the other hand, saying sell. So I guess it all depends on, how you view Ayew. I still think he is underrated at times. But for me, with Sarr coming in, it just makes sense. It just makes sense for Jordan Ayew to go. I don't think he's going to be getting much game time at Palace, in all honesty. I mean, if you do think he will get that game time, where will he get that game time? With Kamada, with Sarr, if Eze stays, and we have France there that we want to develop. I mean, we spent good amount of money on him, so next season is going to be important for him as well. Realistically, Jordan Ayew just there to add up numbers, and it is sad in a way, because I do feel like he's contributed a lot, and at times I feel like I've underrated him. But it is something that I've actually got onto the club about before. enough of the cheaper options. When we've renewed these contracts of these players, I've always felt like it might have been a very good time to move on rather than renewing the contracts, especially. And Jordan Ayew has been one of those players, which I feel like we've renewed and renewed and renewed. But now is a good time to move on. We do have to move on from these players. If we want to be, yes, you still have a 25-man squad and players like Ayew can contribute. But if we want to be serious contenders for European spots or top 10, we know Ayew ceiling. And we're bringing in Sarr. Sarr comes in, Ayew goes. For me, you bring in a younger player with more pace, more potential for a decent price tag. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. This is life. You just have to move on. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And if we can get some kind of money out of him and make a profit, which I think we should be able to make a profit, he only joined us for around £2.5 million, then that is positive business. That is good business. So, yeah, I'm not against this at all. The question now is, we spoke about the other day, how much we would value him. I said minimum £5 million. Let's see how much Leicester are willing to offer for Ayew. But I don't think money should be that much of a concern. I'd be surprised if Leicester cannot afford Ayew. Andrew's saying, feel like Schluppy should go before Jordan, though. The thing about this is that I've seen this a few times. Jeffrey Schlupp and Jordan Ayew play two different positions. So it's not like we pick one of the two. Jordan Ayew's situation is linked more to Sarr, in my opinion. Sarr coming in, Ayew goes. Schlupp doesn't play down the right-hand side. He's going to be playing down the left-hand side. So, yes, we may say, oh, Schlupp should be going before Ayew, but it doesn't really link into what's actually going on at the football club because they're playing in two different positions. So, for me, you can't really correlate the two. But, yeah, let's see what happens with Schlupp because he's been a player he's been very quiet in terms of his future at the football club. He hasn't been really rumoured to be leaving. So, I doubt Jeffrey Schlupp does leave unless something funny happens in the last month of the window. For me, Mateta should only be sold if we're talking £100 million above. With all due respect, I don't think, regardless of how good he was last year, towards the end of the season, he's not worth anywhere near £100 million. If you are being serious, by the way. I don't know if you are being serious about £100 million for Mateta. Spiritual saying, yeah, Jordan would be a good signer for the Foxes, but we want to go to the next level. And that's where I'm at. It'll be sad to see him go, but I'm not going to be losing sleep. It'll be sad because of the memories we've had with him. He hasn't been all dreadful, but these are the kind of moves we have to make in order to push on up the table, in order to, just slowly transition away from some of these players who are getting older. Of course, Jordan Ayew, I believe, is turning 34 in September or 33. I think he's 33 right now, so he's not that young as well. Apparently, JP just scored for France. Add another £5 to £10 million there to his price tag, just like that. Spiritual saying, heard Palace want £10 million. That'd be amazing business from Palace. If we get £10 million for Ayew, then that would be fantastic. And Boom's saying the same thing. I think Ayew's worth more than 5, maybe 10. 10 million would be great, but I think minimum 5 for me would make me happy. Because you have to remember he's on decent amount of wages as well. So yeah, it won't go for. They might not be willing to pay £10 million. Because they have to pay for his wages as well. Kevin's saying, remember, we had 10 first-team injuries at one stage last season, and Ayew filled the gaps. Good luck to him. Yeah, 100%. But now, instead of Ayew, it'll be Sarr, which, in fact, let's talk about Sarr, because I do want to talk about another player that wasn't initially in the list that I made today for the Palace News, but I think we do have to speak about him. There hasn't been any confirmation yet. But let's get over Sarr, and we're going to be talking about Rak-Sakyi, because there's a kind of a development in the Rak-Sakyi situation, whether he will be at Palace much longer. So the sources over in France are suggesting that Ismaila Sarr has arrived safely in London yesterday. He's got his visa. That was the hold up. Of course, now that's been sorted, he's in London. He will have his medical today and sign his contract with Palace. So fingers crossed. It is Tuesday. There's no way on earth I'll be so surprised if Sarr is in that squad against Wolves. Depending on where you are in the world, it will be Thursday morning, I guess Wednesday night, that game. So tomorrow night over in America. I'll be surprised about that. But potentially West Ham, would he travel to America, join the squad for West Ham? That's not a bad shout. Hopefully those examinations are complete today. Everything's sorted tomorrow. He flies out tomorrow for Thursday. He joins with the squad. And that's why it makes sense. Sarr's here, completing his medical, and we're hearing reports about Leicester putting a bid for Ayew. One comes in, one goes out. Natural natural movement of players, and it makes sense as well. So Ayew's 32, yeah. So Ayew's turning 33. People saying Mateta just scored. Yep. Let's quickly talk about Ayew quickly. There's more comments. I'll quickly go through them. If you're enjoying the stream, people, like, subscribe. Less than 80 away from 5,000 subscribers. So thank you to all of you that has already done that. Ayew 10 million plus add-ons if Leicester stay up and a cheeky sell-on fee. I don't think they're going to be a sell-on fee for Jordan Ayew. 32 years old, a year left in his contract, 10 million is about right. A year left in his contract, I mean, 10 million still sounds a lot. It sounds a lot. It doesn't sound a lot, but it sounds more on the higher end. Let me rephrase that. It does sound more on the higher end. I won't be upset with 5. I won't be upset with 5. We still make a profit on him. And also, I mean, we don't technically need him at this current moment of time. Everything saying Saudi clubs overpay on superstars to attract fans. Don't think they'll overpay a ton on Ayew. Yeah, we've said that as well. It's not going to be happening. Thoughts on, I'm going to save the questions. If you have any questions, put a Q in the dot before it. I'm going to go through them in about a few minutes' time. And there's one player that I actually want to talk about, and that is Rak-Sakyi. You might have not heard anything about him today based on papers because he hasn't been linked with a move away. However, as I've mentioned, Patrick is currently in America, of course, at the open training session. And he noticed one thing, which kind of surprised us all at Back of the Nest, is that Rak-Sakyi was not at training with the squad at the open training session today. Now, the question is, has Rak-Sakyi actually even traveled to the US to join the squad? Because he played well last game. There were no injuries as far as I was aware. Even if there were injuries, apparently Doucouré today was doing his own training, so it wasn't with the squad. So in terms of trying to keep a player safe from injuries, etc. So, you know, Doucouré was still there, and he's been technically injured in a quarter game. Rak-Sakyi, he was not there today. So has a decision been made on Rak-Sakyi? And could we be seeing Rak-Sakyi actually leaving the club sooner rather than later? I'm not saying on a permanent deal, but I'm saying, you know, on a loan move, potentially. I'm surprised. I'll be honest. I'm surprised by it. Because Rak-Sakyi, of course, has performed very well in preseason behind closed doors and in the games that we've seen as well on Palace TV. And I thought that this tour in America would have been a good test for him to kind of prove himself even further, because I think Rak-Sakyi has been one of the more standout players in preseason. But it seems like he is not with the squad. Of course, this is not officially confirmed, but today he was not at the training session. So if he's not at the training session, and unless some of you have seen pictures, if he's not pictured as well in America, he's not in America. It's not rocket science. But yeah, interesting with Rak-Sakyi. I'm surprised. I'll be honest, people. I am actually surprised about Rak-Sakyi potentially, you know, going out on loan and not getting another opportunity, because he seemed like he was kind of proving himself. But yeah, Looney saying Rak-Sakyi is leaving. I've heard. Also, can't see Mateta leaving to go to Villa when he's hit such a rich run of form with us to sit on the bench at Villa and potentially ruin his career. But yeah, Rak-Sakyi is actually not there. George saying Rak-Sakyi would be criminal to let go. He's never had a real shot and he looks hungry to play. I think it's about him going out on loan, I think. So in one of those loan moves, of course, he's had tons of interest from the Championship. It seems like, well, adding 2 and 2 together, if he's not on tour, it seems like one of those loan moves is actually going to go ahead, unless something happens with Southampton, which I don't really see Palace sending Rak-Sakyi at this point. But yeah, I'll be honest, I've been a bit surprised by Rak-Sakyi not actually traveling with the squad to America. But yeah, let me go through some more comments. If you have any questions, by the way, I am saving the questions, so I'm going to be answering them in about a few minutes' time. If you're enjoying the stream, like and subscribe, people. Thank you to all of you that's already done that as well. I'm just going through to make sure I don't miss any points. And also, quick mention, O'Brien, I think it has been actually announced today. David saying O'Brien was bad business. We could all see he had ability. So Palace should be receiving additional money after that's gone through, around 3 million to £3.5 million, I believe, for O'Brien due to the selling clause that we had in agreement with Lyon. So yeah, apparently he should have joined Everton for around 20 million euros, around 16 million pounds. And it seems like that has gone through. So hopefully we have a bit more money now to spend after that deal. But just quickly to answer that, context is very important with O'Brien. It is very important. At the time, we had Anderson and Gahey. He wanted game time, and he was running out of contract. That's the biggest thing. He was running out of contract. So we could have potentially lost O'Brien for free, or we could have, which we done, sell him for a price with a selling clause and hope for the best. Which I guess the best case scenario here, we're going to be getting £3 million or £3.5 million. And additional, we had that £1 million, so around £4 million for O'Brien, which may seem still, of course, a bit cheap. But if he's not signing a new deal, if he wants guaranteed game time, and if we have Gay and Anderson, I don't think we could have offered that game time. So the whole situation just didn't help O'Brien at that moment of time. So, of course, there might be some other players where the situation not great at Palace for them, but then they move on, they kick on with their career, and we might get a sell-on clause like we have done here. So yeah. Let's see. All right, cool. Let's go through some of the questions because there's a lot of questions. But if you're just joining us now and want to hear on the latest news, go all the way to the start of the show. We spoke about Mateta, Rak-Sakyi, Jordan Ayew, and the latest on Sarr as well. Spiritual, let's start off with him. Heard Glasner wants Eddie to stay now. Does that mean Mateta's heading for the door, or what? Why now? I haven't heard of anything about Glasner wanting Eddie to stay. There hasn't been no update about the situation on Eddie. The latest was that he could potentially still be sold in this window, but I don't see at all of Glasner saying, I want to keep Edouard, I'm fine with selling Mateta. I just don't see that happening. I'll be honest. That's not realistic to me, that whole scenario, because Mateta was very good under Glasner, and Glasner seemed like he loved him. Mateta was loving his football as well. So I don't think that Edouard changes any situation. I think those are two different problems there to solve. Rain Cloud saying, thoughts on Mitchell's link to United? We kind of discussed that the other day. Not worried about it at this moment of time. He signed a new contract, and I don't think Palace will sell him. We need depth there. We're not looking to kind of sell that position at this current moment of time. Andrew saying, what about the rumor Wolves wanting Sam Johnstone, Henderson or Johnson as a number one? Now, I haven't seen that rumor, but I'm surprised that it's still gone quiet. I'm surprised that we're in August and we haven't heard more about Sam Johnstone leaving the club, because I have been on the thinking that Sam Johnstone will not be here come end of the window. I would be very surprised if he's still here come end of the window. So if there are rumors about Wolves, which I haven't seen, then I think that does make sense because he is Premier League proven. If you're asking me Henderson or Johnstone, I think for me, Johnstone was a very good player, but I also, Henderson kind of got me on his side as well based on his performances towards the end of the season. And it doesn't matter what I think. I think Henderson will be the number one. We didn't sign Henderson for him to be number two. We saw him as number one, Johnstone, after he got injured, and I think that would be the case. And I do see Sam Johnstone leaving. So interesting that you have seen a rumor. I have not seen a rumor like that yet. Frederick saying, Man U looking to sell Wan-Bissaka. Do we have a sell-on clause? Very good question. I don't know. I mean, we sold him for a good amount of money. I wonder if there is a sell-on clause. No one's actually said anything, but that is a very good question. Let's see. I might do some investigation after the stream. If anyone knows in the chat, let me know. But I don't think there is any sell-on clause. T's busy today, so he can't join us today. So yeah, that's why T's not here. Unfortunate saying, does this mean we sign another right attacking midfielder since Ayew looks like he's going and Rak-Sakyi not being in the USA? Yes, I hope so. But there is that dilemma as well in terms of we send Rak-Sakyi out on loan. He comes back after a loan move and he has that go down the right-hand side. That's going to be his spot, or he's going to be there anyways for depth. Now, if we sign another player down the right-hand side, as well as having Sarr and Kamada there, then what does that mean for the future of Rak-Sakyi? Because then we're kind of, saturated on the right-hand side and there's a lot of players there. So I think we should. I do think we should. But whether we do, that's another question. Because even there, it's gone a bit quiet. Kevin saying, off topic, but why no Turkish players in the English Premier League? I mean, we had one playing for Palace not too long ago, Tosun. But potentially, talking about Turkish players, the dog, that's a funny name. Is saying D is Ferde Guardiola worth £30 million in your opinion? Yes, I think he is worth that much. So there might be a Turkish player, but unfortunately, he might be going to Brighton out of all the clubs. He's very versatile. He's very good down the left hand side. So yeah, I think sooner rather than later we might see more Turkish players in the Premier League. Just saying because us Turks can't get ball. We weren't too bad in Euros. Spiritual saying, and the Rak-Sakyi saga continues. Yeah, it does continue. And the crazy thing is, we haven't heard any updates today about him potentially going out on loan or being left out. So God knows, maybe he wasn't feeling well. I don't know, but he wasn't there in training today. Which doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if he's actually traveled. I haven't seen any photos of him traveling with the squad. So God knows what's actually happening. But if he ain't there, then yeah, he's going out on loan. That's what it makes sense. Also, what are your thoughts on Malcolm Abuwe? Personally, I believe technically he's one of the best at the club and he deserves a chance, but his loans haven't been great. I think Abuwe hasn't also travelled with the squad, but I do have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't. He'll be going out on loan, I believe, to Oxford. So yeah, Abuwe should be going and he has to prove himself. He's had a few loan moves. The loan moves, as you say, haven't been great. But, I don't think he's a bad player. I'm just surprised he hasn't had that many chances. Even in pre-season, he's been having barely any minutes. It's been very limited minutes whenever he's come on. So he has to prove himself. And he's still young. He is still young. So it's not all over for Abuwe. But this next one's going to be massive for him. I read an article saying that Glasner was keen to keep Edouard. Probably not a reliable source. Yeah, that's probably what it comes down to. Let's see. Okay, we have a 10% sell-on clause for Wan-Bissaka only if the fee is £50 million apparently, which it won't be. So exactly. So I don't think there'll be any sell-on clause. I swear there is at least one Turkish player in the Premier League. Not as far as I can think of right now. Maybe like a younger player, but no, not from what I can remember. Yeah. So yeah, from Ornstein. 10% sell-on clause. So that sell-on clause is on profit, which happens with a lot of deals as well. It's on profit, and of course they're not getting a profit on Wan-Bissaka. So no, we won't be getting any money from the Wan-Bissaka deal. Why can't Palace just post a list of players on tour? Exactly, we haven't posted a list, so it makes it even more difficult. Henry said, "I need football season back. I'm so bored." Well, pre-season is well underway. We've got 2 games this week. We'll be doing a watch longer as well. So yeah, trust me, he'll be back sooner than expect. Is Abuwe going to Oxford United? I think so, based on the rumours. And yeah, if he hasn't travelled with the team as well to America, he should be going there. Palace should get Octocol. Maybe he impressed me a lot last season. Well, with these players, I mean, he plays down the left as well. I don't think we need a player down the left. So yeah. Has Palace had a world-class player in our entire history? We had one not too long ago, Michael Olise. So yeah, to answer that question, which a lot of Bayern Munich fans are taking credit for him. I think he's going to be world class, easily. Even by the stats, by watching him, everything, he's going to be world class. So yeah. Rich is saying they want every player from Crystal Palace. The tap club want buy all the players from the mid-table team. The 6 teams garbage. I mean, people would want players, but it's about getting them as well. Oh yeah, Bayındır. Yeah, Altay Bayındır. Yeah, you're right. There is a Turkish player. He's a goalie. Yeah, he was at Fenerbahce before. You're right. I forgot about him because he doesn't even play. My mate from Palace Way says Abuwe's mentality is absolutely terrible, and he refuses to learn things to step up his game. Kind of sad. Well, he has one more opportunity to kind of prove himself. We haven't saw him yet, so hopefully he does, and hopefully, if that is the case, hopefully he grows up and he fixes that attitude, because that's not going to get him far. Spiritual saying, but how can Palace let go of both Abuwe and Jess? It's simple. Abuwe is not really in serious consideration. I don't think anyone was talking about Malcolm Abuwe, being a serious squad player next season. And Jez, you can have that debate with Jez. How can Palace let go of Jez? Well, they wanted to develop. They wanted to play week in, week out, start games 90 minutes. That's the only reason. For me, I think he's capable of being a backup option down the right-hand side, but the club want to see him play week in, week out. So that's the case. By the way, Jez is not gone yet. We just haven't seen him training today, which is weird. And it raises the questions of, is he even in America? That's the questions about Jez right now. Dark saying, D, you just met the biggest Malcolm Ibue fan in your life without even knowing. So Ibue bombed at his loans, and to be fair, they were not bad loans. Sabuch saying, I like this Palace sending player to the Championship. Now we can really see if these players are ready or not. And we were actually having this debate as well. How many players have Palace sent to the Championship on loan before? We've seen a lot of League One, League Two moves, so this is going to be good. Ozo in the Championship, Rak-Sakyi potentially. We'll see what happens with him. It seems like a loan move to the Championship is more than likely. So let's see, because I mean we know how good the Championship can be. The Championship is not a bad league. We've got a lot of these players from the Championship, and they have took that step up to the Premier League. So we trust me, we know how good that league can be. So now it's time for these players to prove themselves in that league, and we haven't really seen that in the past. So yeah, it would actually be good. I hate these Bayern fans and ESPN saying Elise stats since joining Bayern. Like, chill, he hasn't played a game. The only thing Elise has done at Bayern is medical. The Elise that you're seeing right now at the Olympics is Crystal Palace's Elise. There's no debate about it. Bayern Munich can say whatever they want. It's not about, oh, look at Elise since the transfer to Bayern Munich. What are you talking about? Elise just been to your medical center. That is not your Michael Elise. That is our Michael Elise. He hasn't even trained with the team yet. So this whole narrative about, oh, look at Elise since his move to Bayern Munich. No, we've been raving on about these players for time because of this reason. We know that he's this good. But the only unfortunate thing is, not many people realize somehow a player can't be that good at Crystal Palace, but as soon as he leaves Crystal Palace, he's amazing. Like he's been amazing. He's been amazing. I don't understand this narratives about look at Elise since he joined Bayern Munich. He hasn't even kicked the ball in Bayern Munich. So what are we talking about? And BR saying our loans have been very positive so far. Look, on that note, people, I am going to end the stream. If you've joined us now, make sure to go to the start of it. If you have enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll try to reply to as many of you as possible. Mateta, Rak-Sakyi, Ayew, Sarr. 4 players covered. Check that out at the start of the stream. And until next time, up the Palace.